I'm Simon. I'm a creative UX engineer out of Orlando, Florida. And in this quick video, a couple minutes here, we're going to take a look at setting up connected components with PartyKit. So essentially what we'll be setting up is real-time communication and establishing that, provisioning those resources just using front-end components. So if you're not familiar with PartyKit, I'll try not to butcher this definition, but it's essentially a stateful serverless architecture with a bit of an emphasis on WebSocket communication that runs on top of Cloudflare durable objects to maintain state between sessions. You essentially write JavaScript or TypeScript. Is a pretty easy syntax to set up a server. You define the logic for how messages are broadcast back and forth. And then you deploy that to PartyKit, which is essentially deploying it to Cloudflare. And then you connect to it like you would any other WebSocket room or even just using HTTP requests. And the act of connecting to a room, let's just say over WebSocket, actually spins up with practically zero startup time, a brand new WebSocket room using that server logic that is unique to that room. So if one person connects to the room, they're there with nobody, a second person connects in and they join the same room, then they'll be sharing the connection with the initial person. Now, if someone was to join in with a different room ID, then they would get their own brand new room, brand new service. So let's just take a look at that in a real simple code sample. This is as bare bones as I can make it. So we're importing PartySocket. PartySocket is PartyKit's sort of flavor of WebSocket. And we create a new PartySocket object connecting to the host, which will be your project name your GitHub username .partykit.dev. And the room in this example was where the magic happens. The room here, I'm connecting to example room 1. Just the act of connecting to that is going to start up a brand new server. To me, that is pretty amazing, just how quickly you can go from just, hey, I'm making a connection to something that doesn't exist, and the act of connecting to it will make it exist. So let's sort of expand that into a larger object-oriented approach. So this is a class of student. And when you create a student, you're passing in a university name as a string. And that will get sent down to the room for university name. And I know that the code here is not the best. It needs validation and all that, but bear with me here for the sake of example. If I come down here into usage, you'll see I've set up constant John equals new student with the string Harvard. The act of just creating a JavaScript object like this will open a WebSocket connection to a room specific for Harvard students. So if the server logic permitted messaging back and forth about upcoming classes or tests or whatever that looks like, you could enable that room to provision that resource for Harvard students simply by saying, hey, I'm creating a new student for Harvard. It's that easy. And this isn't restricted to just plain JavaScript. Here's an example doing this exact same thing inside of a view component. So the view component accepts props for university name as a required string, unmounted, because we don't want to do this during server-side rendering, right? We don't want to have a WebSocket connection opened during server-side rendering. So we say unmounted when the component is available in the client. We create that new PartySocket connection to our host with our room, which is props.university name. And because, we like to clean up after ourselves, when we unmount, we close that connection down. So yes, this code does not include, what it takes to listen to messages, what it takes to broadcast messages back and forth, the workflow that you're familiar with WebSocket connections. But it does show you just how simple it is to set up an on-demand resource for sending real-time communication back and forth. And that's why, in my opinion, PartyKit is an absolutely incredible platform. And also because you can deploy that to your own Cloudflare account. You don't even have to sort of rely on the PartyKit platform itself. You can deploy it to your own resources and pay for your own usage and all that directly through Cloudflare. So obviously there's tons of use cases. I won't list them all, but everything from customer support to games to meetings. I'm running high on time, but I will say I am doing something interesting on the third day of Frontend Nation. I'm one of the very last speakers for the day. And I'm going to be doing something, a little bit of a stress test for PartyKit. Hopefully everyone who watches will be able to participate, whether that's hundreds of people or thousands of people. But the general idea is I'm going to be running a physics simulation attached to a 3JS scene. And hopefully, with WebSockets and PartyKit, everyone will be able to apply their own commands and inputs towards this physics simulation and really bring to life this 3D rendered scene using real-time communication at a very large scale. So fingers crossed, let's hope it works. It's going to be madness one way or another, but hopefully this tip was interesting and useful. And if you haven't checked out PartyKit, go ahead and do that because I highly recommend that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.